And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to our second broadcast of the day. Welcome back to our weekly tournaments of ESL Open Cup Asia number 205. It's been a lot. It's been a lot of editions, been a lot of weeks of ESL Asia, and we are back here with some Korean StarCraft. Hope everyone has been doing well. Hope everyone had a break after the last broadcast, after the intense and just nail-biting series that we had earlier today. All the qualifying matches for IEM are now concluded, and now we continue with our weekly dose of Korean StarCraft. And here we go. In the top left-hand corner, we have on side Delta, the South Korean Protoss player representing the Kwangdong Freaks. It is Stats. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean, Terran, Terran player, not Protoss. It is Fork. I swear Fork was Protoss. Look, I could be crazy, but I think he does switch race. I do from time to time, maybe avoiding the mirror matchup. I'm not entirely certain, but regardless, we are here with our PvT, and yeah, again, hope everyone has been enjoying themselves. It's been a pretty not just intense day, but an intense week of StarCraft. We, of course, had to go through the European regionals, the Asia regionals, and of course the Americas regionals as well, the server qualifiers, I should say, for IEM Katowice, and we have our final players that have made it in, and it doesn't end there. It does not end there. A lot of players are still traveling as well, or soon to travel, because DreamHack Atlanta is over the weekend. Of course, a big premier event in the land of the Americas, and everyone is going to be getting involved there. We have players traveling from all around the world, from Europe, from Asia, from Korea, from even within the Americas as well, and yeah, I look forward to it. Do look forward to it. Of course, we're not local, so we won't be there, but if you happen to be local, I recommend dropping by, being a part of that, and embracing StarCraft with everyone else as well. So yeah, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be an intense weekend. It's just back to back to back. Even last weekend, we had the Home Story Cup. We had Home Story Cup as well, so it just does not end. It does not stop. Likewise, WTL has been postponed this week as well. Postponed just because of DreamHack Atlanta. I believe next week is going to be held instead, just to make up for that and just to make sure that nothing does clash. The players are able to travel back home safely in time and can actually participate in the final round of World Team League. So again, our organizers have been accommodating, or they're trying to be as accommodating as possible. So feels good, man. Feels good. Regardless, we're getting into this exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys would have a look at the back of yourselves. A lot of players are here. The highest of quality, of course, as well. We have Dark, we have Cure, we have Stats, and many others. But for now, we're diving into this, and we do have a Twilight Council opener here from Stats. So it was a gate expanded into a Cybercore, standard opener all around, but going into a Twilight Council would be for Blink. There it is. Blink is on the way. Meanwhile, across the map, Fork is more of an amateur player. I should actually try and fix that even as well. But yeah, we have casted Fork a couple of times here during the ESL weeklies, maybe during a KSL as well. I'm not entirely certain if we have been able to cover him, as there we go. Well, that for the most part fits for now. We haven't been able to cover him too frequently when it comes to these online events, but yeah, it's been really cool to see Fork alongside some of the other amateur Korean players. Like Close is the other one that's been very active recently when it comes to competing in events very regularly. Hasn't gone for any kind of deep runs here. He's still looking to make a name for himself, more of an online ladder hero more than anything. As we are getting to our opener, and we're committing quite hard, actually. Okay, we do have a mine drop upon us, but we also have an armory behind this as well, which means detection is going to be required. The armory being thrown down after the hallucination did run out, so Fork intentionally, of course, keeping himself at bay, keeping himself hidden here, and we'll see if he can get some damage done as he does make his way across the map. Speaking of back at home, Stats did go for a 3-gate opener into a 3rd base, so very safe play here. Not the most greedy, but also not the most aggressive. With 3 gateways, we have plenty of production to work with. We already have a decent sized army here outside of the natural. The main base is a little bit more exposed, but we have 3 stalkers in position. We are already here waiting for any kind of drop play. We know the timings as well, and Stats should be able to shoot this away. If he doesn't, then we could get a couple of mine hits. Remember, we do have the armory, we do need detection, and Chloe's going to try and boost his way past those stalkers. Goes right for the mineral line. He does borrow those mines in the end. We do react in time, we do pull away. But again, where is the Robo? The Robo just now finishing. We don't have an observer, which means that these shots may recharge. They may be able to get another couple of kills here. As for the time being, only 3 worker kills. 3 probes for the medevac. That was brutal to lose the medevac as well. Observer is being chronoed out as we speak, and doesn't take too long to make the observer, so stats, he should clean this up. They should not get extra hits in. Hopefully. Oh! As Widow Mines are cleaned up. After they're cleaned up, we do have a bait on the way for stats. Working towards Blink Stalkers and then Colossi thereafter. So again, pretty standard play, pretty safe play here from Stats, just kind of looking to absorb the attacks of his opponent and eventually looks to saturate himself on 3 bases. Meanwhile, across the map, we do have Fork, of course, getting up to his 2-base saturation as well. Committing quite hard, actually, getting up to 5 Raxes here on 2 bases. I don't see a third, I don't see one yet at least. This doesn't have to be a 2-base all-in, but the hallucination comes in and we do see the prioritization of the production. So Stats is aware that regardless of whether there's a third or not, an attack is soon to be coming, and when it does move out, it's going to be quite terrifying. So Stats getting ready back at home. He's going for his own gateway explosion. He's aware that he has to work on his own army. Again, getting fully saturated on 3 bases. And Fork, do we move out? Scan, we're looking for an observer. We're looking to make sure that we are in the dark. That Stats is in the dark even. 3rd base is being taken on location. So as we can see here, it's not going to be a 2-base all-in. But regardless, a committed push is going to be moving out. Interesting that we only made 1 tank. We're going from 1 tank right into more Widowmine production. So, interesting choice. With those Widowmines, we will have kind of a better army against Chargelots, true. But yeah, going for a very tank-light composition instead. Meanwhile, across the map, we're just getting into our upgrades. We have Extend Thermal Lens on the way. We have +1 on the way as well. Getting up and running on 3 bases. We can see Stats fanning out his units, looking for any kind of move out here. We've got Stalkers in the center of the map. We've got the Observers out towards the left-hand side as well, towards the south. And speaking of fanning out our units, we are going for a Doom Drop. That is 5 medevacs full of units going right for the main base. We do have a Stalker here on the right-hand side, but we aren't quite covering the dead space here. There's no Observer. We do have a couple of Stalkers in position, but that's not going to be enough to stop all of these medevacs. Are we going to commit, though? We could kill at least 1 medevac before it unloads. We go for the scan. We see the Stalkers. We think better of it. I'm going to try to find another way across. Going to be rotating in between the bases. Maybe going for the natural. And now we find a way in. Stats. He is in position. He can react, but we're going to be able to siege up. 1 medevac goes down. 2nd medevac as well. A lot of units do not unload. The rest of the army has to react, has to respond. Colossi are on the way. I love that we're setting up Widow Mines here towards the south to try to cut off some of these units. Mine shot's going to be going off. Nice dodges out of Stats. Avoiding most of those mines. We clean up the tanks, and we should be able to clean up this army as well. We have the Colossus. We don't quite have detection. So these Widow Mines, they may reset once again, but we clean up the army, and there's the recall to bring back that Observer. Observer has arrived. We clean up the mines. And now Fork is in a brutal position. He invested so much into that Doom Drop. That was designed to shut down the main base, to take control of the main at least. But what did he really get? He got a couple of gateways. He traded with gateway units, and that is not good enough. Not for Fork. And with that Stats, he takes an army lead. He has a 4th base on the way as well. At least behind this, again, Fork, he was establishing his 3rd, but his economy is still lacking. Doubling down on more Raxes. We're not taking up towards Viking production or Ghost Academy yet. Still sticking with Biomine, which can work. It's a very mobile composition. You can go for drop play or split pushes. But these frontal assaults, I'm not too convinced by them. Not too convinced, especially against 3 Colossi. But here we go, we're pushing. We will try it nonetheless. Moving out across the map. Stats back at home. He's splitting up his army. He's preparing for potentially drop play here towards the south. We know that there's none of the sorts, but Stats is getting ready for that. The army moving on forward. Bit of a preemptive stem. The mines have borrowed. Ooh. 1 shot going to be going off. Only 1 very delicate micro. The Observer is going to get picked off. Nice moves out of Stats. And from that, yeah, he's going to be able to get some splash damage done. He cleans up the Widow Mines nonetheless, even without that Observer. Beautiful. All 3 mines will go down. Meanwhile, Fork is going to be backing off, getting his 4th base on location. Again, at least he isn't all in on 3 bases. At least he's still trying to build up his economy, but again, 1 step behind. what worries me most is his army composition. He is now incorporating a couple of Vikings, which will help getting to that Viking production, but alas, he's still lacking those ghosts. He's lacking those ghosts as he pushes through the middle. There's a world where maybe he can try to catch half of the army of stats at once. He has kind of split up here, and stats is a little bit vulnerable. His reinforcements coming back home. We're going for a massive stim. Oh my god. Diving onto that Colossus so far, we do not get on top of it. You can see Stats trying to come in from behind. The full surround even, a little bit disjointed. He's going for the Nexus. Nexus is going to go down, but is it going to be worth it here? Stats, he comes across the reinforcements. He's cleaning everything up. Medevacs are being targeted down, and Fork, he's going to lose everything. A big commitment here. He kills one Nexus, and that's all he kills. And from here, Stats, he can counterattack. There's nothing left at home to defend. We have workers, we have a handful of Marines, we have a handful of reinforcements. And Stats is maxed out. He's got double the army supply of his opponents. More than double, actually. Catches some of the medevacs. Third base has to be evacuated. Fork rotating over towards his fourth. But Stats, honestly, he can push towards that natural base. So we have detection. We do. We have a couple of observers, none with the main army. So these Widow Mines are going to connect. Mine Shield's connecting with mainly the Zealots more than anything. The boys are being pulled into Archons, into Colossus. You hate to see it. Thankfully, we don't have WSS game heart, so we actually don't know how many workers just died. We kind of do. 20, 27 even. As we collapse on the army, there's no turning back from here. There's nowhere else to go. The Marauders are being cleaned up. The base goes down as well as we make our way towards the main. And Fork just barely has anything left. Going for a scan, just getting a good eye on the army at least. With what he's up against. But again, there's only a handful of units left in the main base. We have some reinforcements. We take down one. We take down two of these Archons. At least. But we're still pushing in. We have our observers as well. Have detection this time. Fork, he has a planetary, I guess. He has kind of a base up and running, but GG gets called, and Stats will be taking game number 1. GG. GG, well played. A solid game there at his Stats. Fork, a little bit ambitious with some of his moves. He was very, very much so ambitious when it came to his Doom drops or his dives, but I appreciate the tenacity nonetheless from Fork. And how he was approaching that. And yeah, again, you know, Stats is one of the more established players. He's becoming more and more in form over the past couple of months, ever since returning from the military. Ever since returning from the military, and yeah, it is great to see him once again. As with that, we're going to be getting ready for game number 2, I believe. I believe that was the first game. I don't think we missed out on the second. I hope we didn't miss out on the second. As we can also take a moment to have a look at the brackets soon as well. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys can't wait. If you guys want to have a look at where this leads us. But we are getting ready for that second game. It's going to be on Solaris. Go. Meanwhile, I'm just catching up in the chat. Does anyone know when was the last time that they gave new ladder maps? Pretty recently, so maybe a couple of months. Super spraying, Bappy. What's happening? Yeah, the new map pool was October, I want to say. Pretty sure the new map pool was on October, so it's still very fresh, still very new. We actually technically haven't had a premiere event on the new map pool. Oh, actually, I guess we had the ESL Masters Winter Regionals on the new map pool, but we haven't had an offline event with them yet. I mean, we had Home Story Cup, but you know what I mean. I'm talking about like a DreamHack or an IEM. DreamHack Atlanta is going to be the first big event with the new map pool. DreamHack Young Shipping was with the previous map pool. So it's been 2 months. And here we go. Spawning in the top right-hand corner of Solaris, we have the South Korean Protoss player leading the series 1-0. Representing the Kwangdong Freaks, it is Stats. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, changing colors. So 1 moment, I'm gonna need to... I'm gonna need to change his color once again. There we go. In the bottom left-hand corner, we have the South Korean Terran player. The teal Terran was once green. It is Fork. I see in the chat, is this considered BM? I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say just staying in a couple of extra minutes is considered BM. It's fine. It's fine. I think take it one step further. If we start floating buildings and floating towards the corners of the map, then or even forcing your opponent to like kill all the buildings, then sure, then yeah, I can get behind the BM. But here I'm sure Fork was just trying to play his heart out. And here we go. Speaking of, he's going for something very interesting. What I find interesting as well is that he's rallying his SCVs further back. So we're going for a proxy 2 racks. I'm curious if we intend to throw down a 3rd racks after this as well. Just a little bit further behind, just to keep it hidden. Meanwhile, Stats, he scouts. He does a check. He does come across the proxy. Stats, he sees all. He knows all. We have a Zealot on the way. 2nd pylon as well. Stats, fully aware of what's going on. SCV doesn't end up pulling back to throw down another base. Ooh, and we are going for proxy Marauders. Kind of. We have Marines on the way. A Tech Lab as well. I imagine this is going to be for Marauder production. And there we go. We have another Tech Lab in production as well. This takes quite some time to get going, and again, Stats, he's fully aware of what's happening. He's going to be preparing with shield batteries, with Stalkers. There we go, Stalkers are on the way, shield batteries thrown down. Marauders are in production. We should be researching Concussive Shell with this. Again, going to be very committed by our teal Terran. Stats going for a hidden base here. Let's go. Going for this is a little bit greedy, a little bit cheeky of Stats, but he's going to be going here for this ninja base out towards the Rich-Festing Gas Geyser. Boys are being pulled. They have to be at this point. We are completely all in. There's no turning back one way or another. The game is about to end. The game is about to end here, as Fork is going to be pushing on forward. So what's interesting about this variation of Proxy Marauder is that there's no Concussive Shell. There's no Concussive Shell here for our Terran. We're diving on forward, up the ramp. Where's the force field? We do cut up the army. 2 of the Marauders are left behind. But we only have 1 of these Stalkers available. 1 Stalker, 1 Sentry. Bunker is on the way. But we're focusing down the the Marauders. 1, 2 of them almost going down. Boys are being pulled. We have a 2nd Stalker. So far, we haven't quite lost anything. Stats hasn't lost anything. He wants us around. He catches another Marauder. Gets another. Denies the bunker as well. It will not finish. And we have Warp Gate finishing up. We have another wave of Stalkers soon to be on the way. And we're going to be getting a couple of worker kills at least. We have the rest of the SCVs have been pulled. But again, the gateways are done, and there we go. We're warping in another round of Stalkers. A Sentry as well. I'm loving the Sentries here by Stats. Basically, because we don't have a medevac or anything like that, we're looking for some force fields. We cut up the army once again. There is no retreat. Dealing with half of this army at a time. Very nice control here from Stats. Behind this, he's getting this Nexus up and running. Getting further and further ahead. And again, even if it wasn't for this base, like, Stats would be in a good position. Maintaining control of the ramp. This is a little bit adventurous. Moving towards the low ground. Stats has to be careful. We still have a good amount of Marauders. SCVs are racing back home. We're going to try to go back to mining. Meanwhile, Stats moving down to the proxy location. Again, very adventurous. He has to be careful. Going to be warping in onto the low ground. We have the Guardian Shield. We don't have SimCity, but never mind, we kind of do. We do cut up the army. Marauder's gonna get picked off. There is no retreat, no kiting. And that's gonna be all we had left. We're camping the production. There's nothing else back home. No Raxes, no factories. 1 Marauder trying to escape. We're trying. And now there is nothing left coming out from here. And again, Stats, he's happily mining from a second base. He's going to be ignoring the proxy, going across the map, going for the kill. Now, if Stats had spent time here trying to focus down these ranks, maybe we could finish up a bunker and a factory and some units. Maybe we could have some other way out of this, but that's not happening. When it came to this proxy, it was a little bit peculiar. We're actually going into Reapers to kill some workers, which will happen. When it came to this proxy, it was really weird because I'm used to seeing Proxy Marauder with Concussive Shell just so you can kite, just so you can chase down some of these gateway units regardless. We are busting into the main base, the factory. It will not finish either, and we take control of that main. We do have those Reapers, and you know what? We're going to try and kill some perps. We're going to try and kill some workers in the main. Maybe we can kill one. We do have a couple of warp-ins here. Probes are maybe going to be going down here before the Reapers do clean everything up. And with that, GG gets called. There's nothing left. Stats will take the series 2-0, advancing on to the next round. GG. GG, well played. A very powerful performance here out of Stats to take down his opponent, both in a much more standard macro game in Game 1, and Game 2 being the defending player and shutting down the cheese, shutting down the proxy of Fork. When it came to the proxy itself, I did feel a little bit lackluster. It felt a little bit odd. I mean, clearly there's power behind it, and I'm sure it does work on the ladder, but Stats was able to get eyes on it so quickly. Able to respond, able to react, even going for that ninja base, which he didn't even need, by the way. Just kind of that icing on top sort of thing, where Stats was able to win with a little bit of flair as well. So very well done here by Stats. And now we advance on into the next round. !B! !B in the chat.